Alright, I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my Vloggins. I think it's Vloggins number 6. And this is the vlog where I'm an art director. I've been a professional artist for over 15 years, doing graphic design and illustration. I should say honestly, it's getting close to like 20 years, but anyhow. So I've been doing that for a long time. This is the vlog where I talk about mainly like art progress. I'm working on my own creative projects, and my main creative project being working on book 2 of 2 stories, my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. Book 1 came out in like January, and it's called 2 Stories Book 1, and you can get that on Amazon at like a fairly reduced rate right now, which is pretty cool. So you should pick that up. It's 122 hand-lettered, hand-drawn pages, and it's a very personal story that basically attempts to do literary themes in the comic book medium. And anyhow, it's just worth checking out and getting and picking up. So, okay, this is the vlog where I basically am just going to talk about my art progress and keep myself on track with working on my own personal creative projects. So, yesterday I did post a vlog. It's interesting because it's like basically right after I got home from work, like on the way home from work, I wasn't even able to vlog. I was thinking about like recording more, and I was just completely hit with like the worst allergy attack ever, which is terrible. But it's like this season and time I get really bad allergies because of spring and like all the pollen and stuff in the air, and I just got hit like worse than I've gotten hit in a long time. So I ended up like pretty much crashing. Like I went home, I took a nap, I woke up, I read Benji his nighttime books, reading Dog Man by Dave Pilkey, which is great, like a whole bunch of those books, and that was a good time. And then after that, got hit with an allergy attack again, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna crash. And I woke up this morning feeling like I haven't slept at all, which is bad for creative projects because I did yesterday reach out to Nathan Olson, a friend of mine from graduate school, and actually old coworker of mine. He used to teach at the same art school that I taught at, and actually was really helpful when I first started learning how to teach college courses. Like he even helped me build my curriculum for a couple of the classes that I was asked to teach, and he also just by happenstance happens to be a really amazing web cartoonist as well, who's made a lot of stuff. His comics are called Sunday Comics. It's Sunday, but not spelled D-A-Y. It's D-A-E, like a Sunday, ice cream sundae kind of thing. And they're just hilarious and very funny and very beautifully drawn. And then the thing I love about Nathan's work that I've always liked about his work is his grasp on color and color theory, and his usage of color is just unparalleled. Like he picks like the best color palettes imaginable, and that's really inspiring. So that should be fun. And he agreed to be on Artcasters on Thursday. So assuming he shows up, which I think he will, it should be a really good conversation on Thursday, if I'm even alive on Thursday. Today is Wednesday, and I'm heading to work, and I'm just trying to overcome my own physical hurdle of these like terrible allergy attacks that are kind of incapacitating me. And what I need to do is get to those pitch pages, and like I didn't even pencil a panel yesterday, which is like one of the first times in a while where I haven't even touched my comic or my comics. And the problem with that is it creates like a snowball that then creates a bunch of work that needs to get done that is just never going to get done. So I definitely, if I miss a day of cartooning, I take it pretty seriously, because one day of cartooning missed can very, very quickly become a lifetime of cartooning missed. Making comics is really taxing, and then making your own personal projects where there's not necessarily money at the end of the line, you know, as like a thing to draw you into it, just requires a ton of persistence and self-discipline. And part of self-discipline, at least for me, is not allowing myself too many days off, like not allowing myself that moment of like, well, I'm exhausted or I don't feel good, so I'm not going to work on my book. But yesterday I literally, like, I thought there was smoke in the house when I got home, because my eyes had been watering and had been puffed up to such an extent that I couldn't even, like, it literally did look like the house was filled with smoke. And our house was not filled with smoke, it was just allergies. And so that's something that I'm going to have to kind of contend with today. I did bring extra allergy medicine with me, and I am hoping that today when I get home, I'm going to have the energy and the wherewithal to like actually sit down and work on some comic pages. And I'd like to do, I mentioned in my vlog yesterday, but I'd like to do a live stream as well, and just kind of hang out with the community and stuff, especially because Thursday, you know, is Artcasters, and so the likelihood of doing a hangout like that is pretty slim for Thursday night. So I'd rather at least try to get in a live stream tonight. So that's what I'm going to be working on. But like I've said before, if I seem like I'm rubbing my eyes or my nose a lot in these videos, just understand, like, I'm dealing with like some pretty massive allergy symptoms, and just trying to kind of get through. So that's what's on my mind right now. And I also want to think about the next book that I'm going to pick for the IRS. I already have one book, but I always try to keep two books going. And like, in this case, it's just one of those things of like, I've already picked Black Hole for my next book. This Monday, we have Gary Hodges coming on to do an extra indie review show where he's going to go through TARDIS, his World War I comic, which I have never actually read or heard of, and so pretty excited about that, because you know, Gary tends to have really good taste, and I think it'll be really enlightening to kind of have him on and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm heading to work, slightly feeling defeated for not having gotten my personal projects moving forward, and also I'm just kind of struggling with, like, I definitely also need to not take it very hard, because like I said yesterday, I was like pretty incapacitated, and so it's like you need like this, at least for me, I have this balance between self-forgiveness and allowing you know, reality to be what it is, which is like, you know, there are days where it's just literally impossible to get to the page, and then also just with being like this very self-disciplined person who I don't like allowing myself a day off, especially on a project like this where it's like I need to be hitting about a panel a night. The lucky thing is, after our indie review show on Monday, I did a live stream with Corey on Corey Kerr's channel, where I penciled like 2 of the comic book page panels. So I'm kind of where I need to be today. I'm not actually behind, but if I miss tonight, I'll be gradually growing more and more behind on my personal projects. So that's a thing. So right now, as I'm heading to work, I'm just hoping, because that's all I can kind of do when it comes to like physical, problems, is like I'm hoping that I will physically be able to work on my comics and stuff. And I'm also a little bummed about the fact that like I get allergies to the extent that I'm like completely incapacitated. That's a weird thing, and it's kind of an unfortunate scenario of genetics, because I know a lot of people who get like mild allergy symptoms, and unfortunately, like in my family, our allergy symptoms tend to be anything but mild, where it's like you'll see, and it looks like, for me, it makes me kind of appear as though I've like run the gauntlet, or gotten in some war, or been hit by pepper spray or something. And so we'll see how that goes. So that's what's on my mind. I am kind of curious for you guys who are watching along. How do you guys deal with like scenarios where like you want to work on your personal projects, but there's like physical limitations on what you can do, like your body isn't able, or your hand goes out. I've had that happen as well. I had to get like a cortisone shot earlier this year in my left hand, because my left hand actually just stopped like working and was just causing constant pain. And anyhow, as cartoonists, we're going to deal with like physical limitations versus our own personal capability all the time, especially right now. Like, let's say you get COVID or something. It's not like you can be drawing a lot of comics if you get COVID, and like especially if you get the symptoms really bad. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious, like how you guys navigate that. How do you navigate staying on yourself with self-discipline, which is required to do comics and do personal projects? How do you navigate that, between that and just kind of constantly beating yourself up? Because I feel like for me, that's my one of my big struggles, is like I struggle with like if I miss a thing like that, like a mark that I really wanted to hit, I struggle with sort of like beating myself up. Like in the case of even yesterday, it's like as I'm heading to work today, I'm thinking, well, why couldn't I have just powered through it? And it's like thinking about it realistically, like how was I going to power through it? I couldn't even see in front of me. I physically, like everything looked blurry. My head was in a fog. I just was like not physically capable of doing it. But even knowing that, I'll still kind of run myself through the ringer of like, why didn't you do it? So I don't know, that might just be personal to me. That might be my own like struggle or whatever. But I am kind of curious how you guys navigate those things. Maybe I am like too hard on myself, or maybe I'm not hard enough on myself. Like maybe I should have powered through even if I can't see what I'm drawing, and just kind of gotten the work done. Anyhow, that's gonna do it. I'm about at work, so we'll see how it goes today. But I am optimistic about tonight. We'll see if I'm as optimistic after work, which I think will be right after this. So future Josh, how are you doing? How is it going? Let us know, and then hopefully I'll edit that part in right about now. Alright, so I just got gas in the car, and I am fueled up and heading home. Just got off work, and I'm feeling a little bit less bad with the allergies. Like, they're still hitting pretty hard, where my eyes are watering and all that fun stuff, but they haven't totally tapped all of my energy, at least thus far. So we'll see how it goes. But in theory, if I can retain even a semblance of energy when I get home, I should do my workout routine, and then get to doing a live stream or a panel while I live stream. But we'll see, because by the time I get home, maybe my allergies will have kicked up again, What I don't want to do, though, is lose another day of productivity. But I guess we'll just find out how that goes. And again, productivity versus your own health. Like, obviously, your health should be a pretty big priority. All right, well, I'm going to get back to driving, but I'll check in with you guys maybe in a little bit if anything comes to mind during my long commute. The one thing I would really enjoy is the idea of like self-driving cars. There's just something that would be so nice about being able to get some art done like right now. And you know, it's funny because I know there's people who commute longer hours than I do, but what's interesting to me is looking at people who don't have long commutes. And I try really hard not to judge people. That's part of the part of my belief system, especially as like a Christian or whatever. There's like this whole premise of like judge not lest you be judged. But seriously, like I have to subtract about 3 hours out of every day. And so when I like talk to somebody who doesn't have a long commute and they're producing less art than I am, it's very baffling to me. You know, I kind of can somewhat empathize, but it's just one of those things of like, what are you guys doing with your time? You know, I know it's weird, but that's, at least for me, that's what I think about with my own life a lot, is like, what am I doing with the time I have? Am I using every minute that I can to be as productive as I can, while I have a body and a mind that functions? And the one thing that kind of bums me out about like today, as opposed and yesterday, today not so much yet, but we'll see how the allergies treat me. But yesterday, you know, was like I wasn't physically able to do the output and the work that I wanted to do. But today it's like one of those things of like just considering the fact that like there are a lot of people who have a much shorter commute than I do, who are less productive than I am. And I don't know, that boggles the mind. I mean, I get it, I guess, but it's like if I could add 3 hours to my day, what all could I get accomplished on a daily basis? It's hard though, because I understand like when people are home, like they have home obligations and family obligations and stuff like that, but still, even just an hour extra a day could be really beneficial. But then again, maybe those people's bodies aren't as capable, or minds aren't as capable, or they have other chaos in their lives that they're juggling and stuff. But yeah, it still does cross my mind, and I think is worth thinking about, especially if you're a person who you have like a job and then you get home from that job in a relatively short amount of time. Are you spending the time that you can spend on your creative projects? Are you spending that time with family, with people you love? Are you using that time to its fullest? You know, that's something I think about a lot. That's part of why I make all these like priority lists and stuff like that. But it's like we don't have a ton of time here. I just put out my first graphic novel and I'm 40, you know, so it's like by the time I finish graphic novel number 2, I'll probably be like 42. Maybe I'll be 41, you know, in a very highly optimistic outlook. Maybe I'll be 43, right? So it's like, that's a pretty long timetable to turn around, and that's with me using as many waking minutes as I can and still try to be a responsible father, a responsible you know, art director at my job and stuff like that. So it's something, I don't know, I think about a lot. I also know, like, there's a lot of people who prioritize things a little differently, and maybe this is, you know, I've spoken about this before on my shows and like my live stream and other things, that I think I'm probably I was about to say artistic, but I'm probably like autistic, because my son is autistic, and I've just started noticing a lot of things. Wow, there's a car that's just swerving all over the place. I'm not quite sure what they're doing. You all right there, buddy? Wow. Anyhow, so yeah, that's another interesting thing about the commute, is like, you'll be driving and you just see somebody do something completely insane in their car. There was a girl over there who was just swerving all over the road doing this, and I think it's because they overcorrected a turn and were just like, oh no. Anyhow, so because I'm slightly autistic, I think that maybe that's why I have trouble understanding how somebody couldn't focus on their projects, like, for a long period of time. Because, like, for me, I don't really, like, fantasize about, like, long vacations or, like, trips to Europe or anything like that. My fantasies tend to be more like having books out and having done good work and having created good art that I feel proud of, and hopefully that art succeeding and stuff. But it is funny because, like, to an extent, like, you know, you put out a book, it's just a piece of paper with, like, print on it, you know, so it's not like that necessarily would have more value than, like, a long vacation with someone, you know. But it definitely, I think it is one of those things that I think about a lot as a creative, and I do wonder sometimes, especially with people who don't have as busy of lives. But that also, like I said, might be like kind of a grass is greener sort of scenario, where it's like, you know, I'm looking at, I could easily be myopically looking at people without kind of thinking about their own positions and stuff like that. And no one that I know in my immediate circle comes to mind, because most of my friends and the people I surround myself with, even doing like my live streams and stuff, like a lot of the people that I'll talk to are really highly productive people. They're all people who are like really working hard to make stuff and to make things happen. But that was just something that came to mind. So anyhow, back to the crazy old commute. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so I hope that gave you a little taste of part of my commute. I think I did like some very short time-lapse videos, and I realized I gotta just stop the videos because I don't want like way too much to edit when I get home, so that I can get this up like at a reasonable time, because my hope is to try to do these almost daily, balance with the live streams. I feel like, you know, I mainly think it's important to do because my YouTube channel just wasn't like, I wasn't generating as much content as I should. And then outside of that, like, they're fun to do, and they don't really add a ton to my my workload. And so it's just another way to create rather than just consume. And you guys will notice that's going to be an on-running theme on all of my videos. So yeah, so that'll do it. I'm going to wrap this. I will say thanks to those of you who've been watching these videos. It's really fun. You know, how do you guys handle situations like mine was just allergies, which I get pretty severely, but it's not like a dire, life-threatening situation. How do you guys deal with like the struggles of like the mind and body, like when your body stops functioning the way you need it to in order to get what you want to get done on your creative projects done? What do you turn to? I find like a lot of comfort in my faith as well, because at the end of the day, like, my value doesn't rest specifically on what I do. And that's something I always have to kind of remind myself of, because I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I always quite often will only find value in what I do. But yeah, I mean, I think just by being a human being made in the image of God, we all have value. So, but I'm curious, like, how do you guys navigate that? How do you navigate those times when exhaustion or just like physical challenges come up and sort of prevent you from being able to hit the marks you want to do? What strategies do you use, you know, to kind of try to override those things, or at least to keep yourself on a path of being productive and kind of building up work habits and stuff? Because right now, like, for me, it's like I'm hoping when I get home my allergies are clear enough to where I'm not just having to completely go to sleep. And my other hope is just to like actually get my workout done, and then get some more progress on those pitch pages. So that's where I'm coming from. If you guys haven't yet, this is my YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, hit that bell. That'll give you notifications whenever I'm about to go live, or whenever I put up a new video. And that's really important when I do my live streams. So tonight, like, you'll find out if I do a live stream if you hit that bell, because it'll get. I think depending on the settings, you can have it send you a notification when we're about to go live, and you can join the cool conversation and hang out and make some art with me during the live stream, which is pretty rad. Also, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. And then lastly, just, if you haven't yet, I encourage you to pick up my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It's a memoir that tells the story of a time in my life when I was struggling with depression after my wife and I had moved to a new state. At the time, we were living in Oregon, and we had moved from Long Beach, California. I now live in California, but it's a memoir writing about my past and about how I navigated dealing with suicidal ideation and panic disorder and all sorts of other mental illnesses and stuff. So it ends up kind of talking pretty heavily about faith. It also has a lot of fun parts to it that talk about childhood playground politics and sort of remaking Back to the Future as a kid on a playground, or like the year of my life where I dressed up as Indiana Jones and went to school and thought that was a good idea because I just loved Indiana Jones. But it's a really good read, I think, and it's an indie book, so it needs your support. So if you haven't yet, get that book. If you have a friend who'd like it and you've bought it before, buy it for your friend. It's at a discounted rate right now on Amazon, and I really am hoping to keep those sales numbers going so that I have more of an opportunity to put out the second volume. and also just more encouragement to continue making content and making these videos. Also, let me know what you think about these videos. Like, you know, it's been a while since I've done live streams. I'm sorry, not live streams. I have live streams on the mind because it's what I have to do tonight. But it's been a while since I've done these vlogs, and so I'd love to hear your opinion on them and whether I should keep going with them or not. And that'll basically do it. Oh, one last thing. One last question. So you could either let me know how you deal with the body kind of like your own physical body preventing you from hitting your goals. You can talk about whether these are a crazy idea, doing these vlogs, or whether I should keep going. And then a third thing I just thought of is you could also mention, like, you know, do you have a 3-hour commute? And if you don't, what do you do when you get home? And is there time, are there like 3 hours of your day where you could be doing, being more productive and getting further on your goals as an artist? Because, like, to me, that's just something I thought of. You could just think, hey, Josh drives 3 hours a day and still manages to carve a little bit at his goals. What am I doing with my own goals? Or you could maybe look at my output and be like, bah, I have better output than him, and so, like, you know, just disregard the question, or just spin it right back at me like, dude, my commute's 5 hours. The hell are you doing, man? So anyhow, that'll do it. Thanks again for watching these videos, and I just really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate everybody in my audience who has bought 2 stories as well. Just know that it's noticed and it's appreciated. And that'll pretty much do it for this Vloggins. So until next Vloggins, I'll see you guys